Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Eye on Icon. I am your co-host Fez, and with me again is Icongrapher. How you been?
I'm trying to get over motion sickness from all this a little bit of volatility in the crypto markets, but sometimes it gets a little wild sometimes, but then I think of back to how boring things were back over the last couple of years, and it's hard to I'd certainly rather have this than just staring at stagnant prices all day. Um, so it's been an interesting week for sure.
Oh, what a roller coaster it's been. It's just the thrill of crypto, really. You're right. A year ago it was just nothing going on. The price was just steady, and all we wanted was a bit of price action. Now, we're getting what we asked for. It's been
Yeah, it's been the last 24 to 48 hours you're watching kind of the market across the board, whether it's Bitcoin, whether it's Icon, whether it's kind of alts in general kind of bleeding out, and you have to remind yourself, as you get despondent and bummed out, you got to remind yourself two things. I think we're still higher than we were by a good amount when we recorded last week, when we were so happy and excited just to be over $1. And also, when something goes up that fast, that quickly, you kind of expect and to a certain extent hope for something like this, just to it creates a chance for more sustainable price growth over the long term. Otherwise, if you shoot straight up $10, it could pop really quick, and then you're back at 50 cents in no time. So, it's certainly less exciting, and of course, everyone wants to be rich overnight. But in order to get kind of the healthier long-term sustainable growth that leads to more significant price increases, these sort of corrections are necessary, at least as I'm not a trader or a technical analyst by any means, but that's kind of just what I've noticed over the years in crypto.
Yeah, look, nothing goes up in a straight line, and if it does, be very cautious. So corrections are great, and we have had a lot of healthy price action, and all there's quite a lot coming, and with Mim and Ricky and co. Going a bit nuts on the various platforms. It's all played a part, which has been great. We are today excited as well. We've got another guest on, Edward from Stakin. So we will get to that interview, and there's a lot of content there, which I believe everyone is going to love. And but before
Yeah,
we yes.
it's we got a little bit of the Staken, I think, is most likely known for their Lossless Lottery, which they've been running for a couple months now. So he shared kind of what they're working on for the next version, which sounds pretty cool, and also a DeFi project they're working on as well. So certainly, you'll certainly want to stick around for the whole episode to hear through that.
So let's dive into the news first, and then we'll get to the interview. As you know, as always, this podcast is brought to you by Icon Plus. So, Icongrapher, the first biggest bit of news, while it may be Binance, some people may say it. Let's pause on that. It's really the news is about the airdrips. It's come out that there's going to be an airdrip. What is this airdrip about?
Well, we got some hints. I think the week before from Min of airdrops are coming. He said airdrops plural. So I don't know if that meant airdrips or if it meant multiple airdrips, but I guess we'll probably find out soon. I think he alluded to there being more airdrips in the pipeline. But airdrop. These have been around in crypto forever. It's basically you either just for having done a transaction on a wallet or something like that, or because you're holding a token, or because you're in a Telegram chat or something like that, you're eligible to all of a sudden just kind of automatically receive this a new token or something like that, depending on the project or whatever it is. Usually it's a one-off thing, happens once. Maybe it happens again in the future, but they're more one-off situations. This is a bit more unique of a concept, and it's tied to the Balanced protocol, which is coming out in March, which is the DeFi, potentially the first DeFi platform on Icon that allows you to deposit ICX as collateral and basically take out a loan in stable coins. So it's going to be really helpful to kind of kick off the DeFi, I guess you could say, movement on Icon. And so they have a token called the Balanced Token, and it's the native token to the network. And what they're doing is anyone who stakes ICX is getting free Balanced Tokens. We don't know how many. We don't know how many of the overall distribution are going to airdrop. or airdrip recipients or whatever else it might be. So those details are waiting to come out, but we do know at least that. And so I think, I wrote about this in the Rise on Wire newsletter, which I encourage everyone to subscribe to if you haven't already. But what I think is it's a really creative marketing concept for a couple reasons. First of all, people all of a sudden receive this token that a lot of people are aware of Balance, but a lot of people might not be. And so now they receive this token for this platform. They're incentivized to learn about Balanced because I think a lot of people, if they hold an investment, even if they didn't pay for it, they want to know exactly what it is and what it does and if it might go up in the future. The way it's also set up also is that, as an airdrop, it happens every week, but it doesn't necessarily just automatically fall in your wallet. What you have to do is you have to go to the Balanced website every week and claim your tokens. And I think anyone who's ever done a project or business or anything like that, if there's a way to say basically we can guarantee potentially thousands of visitors to your website every week, I think that's great exposure. And so, I think that's a great marketing aspect of it as well. And I think another key part of it is the fact that, the Balance token, it provides you governance rights to the Balance platform, which means you can, have a say in future decisions about, how changes that get made, revenue sharing, things like that. But you're also, by holding the token, you're entitled to a slice of the fees that the network generates. And there's a few different categories that generate fees, whether it's people taking out loans, whether it's people trading on their decks. It's certainly going to generate some revenue. But the only way you can actually be eligible to receive those dividends is basically you have to actively use the platform from the same wallet that your balance tokens are in. So they've created a situation in which, thousands of people are going to be exposed to this new token. And in order to get the token, they have to visit the platform's website. And in order to get the full benefits of the token, they actually use the platform. So it's a great way as you're launching to really immediately drive a lot of participation and usage. And for DeFi platforms, if nobody's using it, then it becomes pretty much worthless. Whereas if a lot of people are using it, there's an incentive for even more people to use it because, it's kind of like Facebook, right? If none of your friends were on Facebook, you wouldn't have the incentive to go there. But because they are, you almost kind of have to be there. And so it's kind of the same unique setup here. So it's a really unique marketing strategy, both by especially by Balance, but also by Icon as a whole, because I think it draws in people the ecosystem in general. But you also, if you're starting to get into DeFi, you don't want to launch and then just kind of have it sit there and nobody use it or anything like that. So
Mm.
it'll provide a lot of initial momentum, I think, for the platform and for the string of DeFi projects that Icon has coming out, whether it's Balance, whether it's OMM, and some of the other there's unannounced projects as well. I understand. So certainly a lot to be excited about with this.
Yeah, look, I agree. It was a nice surprise and a bit of a different way of approaching it. Balanced is what I believe will enable a lot on the Icon ecosystem, and just well done. It's successful because even the just a quick call out the Telegram group, for example, went from 300 users to 1,800 in a few days, and it's not just people going when airdrop or anything like that. People are actually asking how it will work, what they can do with it, and what is the use cases for it. People are genuinely asking thorough questions in there, and Scott's just been all over it. I don't think the man ever sleeps, so it's been yeah, I'm very excited about it, and even I've just actually kicked off last night. I published a tutorial based on the prototype on how you would use it, and I just run through what you're doing with the protocol, locking your collateral, the risks, and I've just covered one aspect of it because I tend to babble, but it is insightful, especially if you haven't used a protocol like that before. I encourage you to check it out. But the Balance protocol, cannot wait for it to launch. I've got my bag ready. I want to get in there, use the platform, and do things with it. So can't wait.
Yeah, I keep thinking I need to unstake if I because I want to be able to utilize it, and you need to unstake in order to move them over. But then it seems like they're going to give us ample heads up as far as when the actual launch will be, so that way we can we can wait until the last possible day to unstake and also be ready to use it from day one. So I think that's a little that's certainly reassuring from my perspective.
Mm.
So another key piece of news this week is the Icon Foundation announced they are launching a audit fund, a security audit fund that will have 500,000 ICX in it. So as we speak, that's probably around 650, $700,000. Obviously higher last week. Basically, what it will do is there's obviously a chunk of DeFi platforms coming online soon. There's also other projects that are in process that are kind of complex. And anytime you're in dealing with smart contracts where transactions can't be reversed or refunded or anything like that, and you're dealing with people moving around what could be significant amounts of money, you really want to make sure that the platforms are as secure as possible from any either hacks or attacks or manipulations or anything like that. And so what Icon is doing is recognizing that if we have a bunch of DApps launch and all of a sudden they get hacked or have security vulnerabilities, it's not gonna reflect well on the network as a whole. And so what they're doing is they're really investing in making sure that the apps are the apps and products being built are as secure as possible. And so, audits are not cheap by any means. They require people with a lot of good expertise to review a lot of code potentially. So they run in the thousands of, certainly probably even the tens of thousands of dollars. So having that resource available for teams that, especially those that are just starting from scratch and haven't made any money off their projects or anything like that, being able to provide that capital to provide that security audit, it'll be really healthy for the system and it'll inspire a lot of confidence. Even if something's audited, it's still obviously not 100% safe and secure, just because that's the nature of things. But having that audit will potentially remove a lot of vulnerabilities, and it certainly inspire a lot of confidence as well. So a little bit under the radar news, but something I was certainly excited about, and a lot of other folks were as well too.
For me, when I saw this, this phrase that you mentioned came to mind, seemingly out of nowhere, and it did feel like out of nowhere. And something to keep in mind. So this is separate from CPS. Okay, so your fund where you go in and put through your idea and get peer reps to sponsor it, and it gets funding, and you run it through. This portion comes in at the end. This is for projects that have been built before they launch. Icon, the foundation, has seen, well, this is vital to ensure we build that security and trust of our end user. We need to make sure we have some kind of standard here, and we need to enable that. And how can we do that? Well, we can create a fund that really unblocks it for anyone who's creating dApps protocols for our ecosystem. Fantastic. Like, it's great, a step in the right direction, and hopefully this just enables more people to look at Icon and go, you know what? I can really get started on this chain. I can build here because there's so much support from end to end, from getting started to actual going live. So yeah, you're right. It was under the radar, and I'm glad we've really called it out and given a bit of perspective there. How big of a core component this is to enabling building on Icon.
Absolutely. And so I'd say that, the other piece of news that a lot of folks in the community got really excited about was the announcement that Binance, which is obviously the well-known exchange, has become a PREP node. They've also self-staked about 30 million ICX, and they are now, I believe, the number 2 PREP as a result of that. So there was a Binance node that got launched a couple weeks ago, I think, and there was a lot of back and forth about whether that was actually Binance or not. And so obviously a few days later, I think everyone saw the news that Binance had announced that they were allowing those who hold ICX on the Binance platform to earn staking rewards. There's various different uh, tiers, I guess you could say, as far as duration and the reward amount. I think we touched upon this in the last podcast, so I think everyone's pretty well familiar with it now. I think something to consider is that a lot of the rewards rates that they're offering are well above the 13, or I guess it's closer to 12% rate that Icon offers as the network inherently. And so I think in order to help provide that additional funding, them serving as a P-rep. Obviously, as a P-rep, they get a lot of additional rewards, and I think they're probably passing along a pretty good portion of those rewards onto those who are staking in the form of additional percentages in order to entice people to use that platform. So I'm sure they're probably taking some of that for themselves as well as profit, just based on the fact that they are a business. But they are obviously providing a nice service, and I think giving Icon a good amount of exposure as well. Obviously, if people are new to crypto and just poking around on Binance and they see there's a token that they can earn, 13, 15, 21% on, they're going to be certainly more incentivized to buy that token, especially if they don't have to worry about the process of, voting and governance and things like that. An upside is kind of what I just mentioned, is the fact that, there's a lot of good publicity for it. There's also 30 million ICX that is now totally locked up. Now, granted, it was probably already in a cold wallet and probably wasn't really out there anyway. But the fact that they were willing to lock it up shows that it's probably not going anywhere for a while. And so certainly good from a supply and demand standpoint. The one thing I would be concerned about, and the one thing there's downside on, is the fact that as the number two P rep now, Binance now has a pretty not insignificant amount of control over the network. It's only around 9%, so they can't certainly single-handedly veto anything or anything like that. But when it comes to future proposals for the network or CPS funding or anything like that, they're not going to be they're going to be one of the big players, and if they just team up with a few other P reps, they can potentially serve as a veto on certain decisions and things like that. So, it's not keeping me up in anything like that at night, and I'm not too stressed about it. But there's sometimes a downside to certain things like this, and so that's just kind of one thing to at least consider. Again, not to create FUD or anything like that. I think it's pretty unlikely that this will be damaging at all, but that's always just something to consider.
Yeah, look, I think few things to call out here is, again, it is an exchange service, so not your keys, not your funds. You are trusting another party. And I guess Binance has been there for a long time, and even when it has had situations, funds are always either compensated or safe. So that's good on that part. But again, a few things to consider and be across is, so you got a lot of these airdrips, etc. coming. I see a lot of people asking, "Oh, if I'm staking on Binance, do we qualify?" The simple answer is we can't say it. That's up to Binance to offer that support and drop those tokens to its users if they choose to. So keep that in mind. And if you do know what you're doing, it is safer to have your own wallet and save your file. That way, if anything goes wrong, you can restore it wherever you are. My views, obviously, not advice, but make sure you do the right amount of research. If you're in it for a short term where you just wanted to keep something for 30 days, different story. Long term, I'd be researching all the options you have available. But definitely, from having Binance on board, it's a huge show of confidence. And I do get your concerns, Icongrapher. And Binance have done that even with ETH. They launched their own ETH where they transition to the ETH2, and you can stake it with them. And they kind of they have their hands in everything, and yeah, it's good to see. So the fact that ICX they've got their hand in there. Yes, it's a large portion, but still, from what you called out, 9%. So they can't really sway the network themselves, which is I was concerned about that. So it's good to know that that's just not the case.
Yeah, and I think something to keep an eye on is if we see other exchanges follow suit, and I don't think there's any that have as many ICX as Binance does, but I think if enough go down that route and they realize that in order to compete, they need to offer staking as well. So they run up P nodes, and all of a sudden, if exchange P reps are making up a third of the overall governance, then you have to start playing it out and say, okay, well, there's been talk about a proposal down the line to increase transaction fees on Icon because they're kind of seen as very, very cheap, almost too cheap.
Mm.
And so obviously, I think a lot of the community would like that just because it helps with the inflation aspect if more ICX gets burned with every transaction.
Mm.
But then you have to ask, if you're an exchange, do you want it to be more expensive for you to conduct your operation? So I think it's questions like that where, if again I'm playing it out in kind of a worst case scenario
Mm.
mode. But we have a lot of interest in the success of Icon, but it's not, not necessarily every exchange will have that same level of intense interest and direct investment that kind of we have. So that's just something to keep in mind and to consider as you see who kind of takes a greater share of the network and things like that. And I think also circling around to the airdrip question, yeah, if your tokens are on Binance, Binance is holding your tokens, which means if there's an airdrip, Binance gets to hold those tokens. And so if they want to give them to you, that's certainly in their right. But if not, I think there was a case like this with, I believe it was Coinbase, but I could be mistaken, where a person had tokens on there. There was a fork of some sort, and a court said, nope, those are Coinbase's tokens because they were the ones who held the keys. So just something to keep in mind. Again, I think for a certain set of people, it makes total sense, especially if they don't want to have to deal with the hassle of figuring out how to get a cold wallet, and they're more worried about their own ability to potentially lose keys or something like that. I think it's a great solution. Just recognize that there's always there's certainly upsides, but there's also certainly downsides as well.
So one of our favorite little but going to be big projects is just announced, well, kicked off their beta, which is Project Nebula. This is beyond exciting. It is, if you're new to the podcast and you don't know what Project Nebula is, it's a game that is being released on the Icon blockchain. It is they've had their auction where they've auctioned off their NFTs. The game is around, it's like your Civilization kind of style game that is a space theme. So it's all about exploring, finding planets, you know, upgrading, credits, all kinds of things intertwined into one. And they have officially kicked off their beta. It is a very small start beta, with a small group of people, and they'll slowly expand on it. But that's a major milestone for the project, and I know we are keen to have them on the podcast when they're ready, and excited for that. For that episode, but this is great news. This is a huge milestone as well. This they've been in the works for a while and had an extremely successful auction of the initial 1,000 planets, and you can actually go onto their site and if you got a planet or haven't wasn't successful in the auction, you can go and purchase it right now. What are your thoughts on this iconographer?
Yeah, it seems the initial kind of wave is only a pretty small handful of people. So I think a lot of people signed up for the beta test and they saw that it was happening, so they got excited and then realized it hadn't their name hadn't come up on the list yet. So it sounds like they're going to be expanding things, but I think it's good news for A. It just shows that the project is getting closer and closer to actual launch if they're in their beta now. And also, I think as people play it, we'll start to get a bit more of a sneak peek as far as what the actual game looks like, how it plays out, how people are enjoying it, things of that nature too. So, and it's also good, betas are always good because they do help, ferret out any potential bugs or issues or gameplay hangups or anything like that. So the team's been working really hard, and I think they want to make sure they're launching a final product that is as fun as possible and has as few issues as possible. So certainly I'll be following the that I failed to sign up for a beta, which I highly regret. But I figure, someone else will have my slot, and I'm sure they'll enjoy it. So either way, we'll all get to play at some point soon. But I'll be excited and eager to hear how the game is playing and how much people are enjoying it.
Agree.
So, and I guess our last final piece of nugget is the Paycoin has announced that they will be utilizing Bitcoin in their payment app, which is based in South Korea, and there's 60,000 vendors throughout the country that basically accept Paycoin transactions. That doesn't necessarily, I understand, means that they will definitely accept Bitcoin as well. But I think what's key here is that this was actually, ICX was actually announced to be integrated a couple months ago. And so this isn't necessarily anything new, but I think the Bitcoin news, and also they'll be accepting Ethereum as well, drew a lot more eyeballs to this payment company. And so, it's getting a lot more attention now. I think it'll potentially drive in, people, more vendors to potentially want to be utilizing it now, knowing that Bitcoin is obviously a lot more ubiquitous than Icon is at this point in time. So it's certainly exciting. I think the Paycoin crypto token as well as the company's stock itself both went up by rather significant amounts after the news. So that just shows how much hype is kind of around this. I don't know how many people are going to go out there and go to the equivalent of 7-Eleven and buy a Gatorade with ICX or something like that. But I think just having that on the app where so many people are already using it and so many eyeballs are on it, it's really good marketing. And it just shows that, generally speaking, it's just kind of another step toward more and more adoption of crypto as a whole, and obviously ICX specifically. So, it's not earth-shattering news as far as my perspective is concerned in terms of the long-term growth of Icon, but it's certainly a nice thing to see, and it shows a lot of trust in the ICX project for sure.
Yeah, and I was telling you this before. I can't imagine wanting to spend my ETH, BTC, or ICX, but at the same time, the fact that this is enabled, then the functionality to have the stable coins, IRC tokens, ERC tokens is so simple. It's practically there. So what it enables for the future is very exciting. This is huge in itself, but what is to come from it? Not that we have any exclusives. It is just the potential is there. The hard part is set up. Now it's just about adding, I guess, what is used the most frequently. So it's huge news, and it's good to see ICX up there with the top two.
Yeah, absolutely.
So there were just very quickly, I wanted to skim across two things just came to mind, especially if you want to keep knowing more things going on in the Icon ecosystem. I know Brian and Corey did a quick live stream YouTube clip and just chatted about all things ICX. So if you wanted to know a bit more, just give that a listen. And one of the other things that was quite cool was Spartan Node uh, spoke about their charity. I don't know if we covered this last episode. So they've created a charity fund. So a small portion will every month they're going to donate to a different charity, which was great. Great to see a bit of a different take. And what are your thoughts on that?
Well, yeah, I think they're set up as a very community based
Mm.
token, obviously an icon, but I think they're trying to carry that spirit beyond that as well. So really nice to see them utilizing kind of the additional resources they've been given for something kind of beyond the icon network, and obviously something for good as well. So obviously, always have to applaud a willingness to help others, and you always worry that you see people saying, why are you giving it, why are you giving it away? That should go to us, but obviously there hasn't been any of that, and it's something that, there's a lot to bind the community around with that, and so it's certainly a positive development, and I like their outside the box thinking.
So, I think that's all the news we have today. So, what we want to do is now let's dive in to our interview. As mentioned, we have Edward from Staken, and we've had a fantastic conversation where we've talked about things that are to come on the platform, what Staken have been up to, exciting DeFi project. And one of the big call outs I'll make is listen right at the end where we do a bit of a summary and we talk about how different P reps and anyone can actually get involved in actively promoting or sponsoring these lossless lotteries. So really get to the end and give that a listen as well. I think after the interview, it will paint a perfect picture when you hear what the protocol, the vision, and the grand plan is. So, any thoughts on that, Icongrapher?
Yep, no, I'd agree. As I kind of alluded to in the beginning, it's a project that I'd certainly been aware of, and they've had some pretty good user participation as well ever since they launched. In the tens of thousands of ICX having been wagered and given away. But it was exciting to hear kind of more about what they're working on as far as the next version and the way they expand it. And they have, I think they have a lot of ambition for it, that it goes beyond this second version. I think they're already thinking of how to, what's version 3, what's version 4 look like. So it's something, certainly a project that's I'll keep an eye on, and I think it has a lot of potential.
Great, let's dive in. Okay, everyone. Today we have our next guest on our show. It's Edward from Stakin. Edward, how are you today?
Hey, I'm fine. Hey.
Excellent, excellent. So, Edward, we are very happy to have you on the show, and we can see spending a bit of time across the Staken website. There is so much going on in your space. In fact, from 3 weeks ago, where I looked to today, it seems like you've had a whole bunch of new products launch coming. There's stuff going on with the lottery that is picking up, which is great to see. And we thought, why not catch up so that you can talk us through everything you got planned there. I think to kick things off, how the first question everyone wants to know is, how did you discover crypto?
Well, thanks for having me on the show first. And yeah, so I came to crypto initially, I think it was in 2013 or so. Just reading through an article, and at that time I really didn't yet get involved in the space. It took me a few more years. I started working in finance, and then I picked up the subject again in 2017. With like all the rise in like new protocols and smart contracts and all the potential of like blockchain that was finally uncovering. And yeah, there I think I kind of got the blockchain virus. Started reading through white papers, and then I quickly started thinking like what kind of things I could build. And coming from financial background, I started thinking about financial applications, and I launched a project at that time, which is still existing, called Trax, which builds institutional grade crypto traded indices, but there's still a lot of work going on with licensing in Europe. And yeah, also got interested into all the new protocols, and especially more efficient protocols. And that's how I came to Icon, to Proof of Stake, and also to like kind of be keen on the protocols with focus on interoperability, especially.
So, what obviously you discovered Icon, and you discovered all these other chains, and so what was it about Icon that made it to where you wanted to take a step forward and actually start building on Icon, and why Icon potentially over other blockchains?
Yeah, well, there are not many interesting blockchains that I think kind of like a very big long-term potential out there. And what attracted me to Icon was first, the focus on interoperability. Like Icon is going to connect many blockchain ecosystem together in the future, among both like public blockchains and also permission blockchains. And I think the Icon team is doing a very good job in South Korea, notably on building that corporate ecosystem, and also like building like an ecosystem of like corporate users and future permission blockchains that could be connected to Icon. So yeah, there was this interoperability aspect, as all these chains being interoperable with each other. It would be way more interesting than the siloed ones we have today. And then there's, of course, the scalability. Icon supports many transactions per second, and the community. It's pretty awesome. Everybody's quite welcoming. There are already users supporting dApps, using dApps. There's the foundation that is quite close to the community if you need help. And building on Icon. So right now, smart contracts they built Score smart contracts they built in Python. So there's not much barriers to entry for newcomers, and yeah, all these factors kind of convinced us to build on Icon first as a PRAB and then as a DApp developer.
Excellent. So, to my earlier comment, then, as you go to the Staken website, definitely noticed there's a lot of expanding going on. Can you tell us what the goal is for Staken?
Sure. So, staking, our core business is to be a validator. So we operate validator services, with good infrastructure and uptime on many proof of stake blockchains. And as part of this, we are an Icon PREP. But our expertise and the expertise of the team goes far beyond node operation. Like in-house, we have our smart contract developer, we have a designer, we have somebody who's very good at front end, back end, and marketing skills. And with all these skills, well, because we believe in the chains that we support, and we believe in Icon among others. We also want to, use our skills to build dApps in the blockchains. And the first one we built is the no loss staking lottery on Icon. And right now we're also working on interesting DeFi dApp that we have yet to release.
DeFi DApp. Oh, we're going to come back to this.
So you mentioned the lottery. I guess if you want to kind of describe a little bit for those who aren't entirely familiar, and then as far as kind of what you have planned for the next iteration, it sounds like there's a lot going on. So we want to hear more about that.
Yeah, definitely. Happy to walk you through our lottery project. So for those who are not familiar, we're talking about the staking no loss lottery, which is available at lottery.stakin.com. And basically, so for those who are probably more familiar with other blockchain no loss lotteries, such as Pull Together, it's a mechanism through which anybody can buy tickets and potentially compete to earn randomly rewards based on pooled interest. And compared to like a normal lottery, you can withdraw your tickets at any time, so you never lose the principal. So basically, we have these ICX that. So when you're going to take part in the lottery, you're going to go on the website, and you can connect your wallet. You can use iConnex or MyIcon Wallet, mobile app, or Ledger, compatible with all these non-custodial wallets, and you gonna have the possibility to get tickets. One ICX is equal to one ticket. That's how it works. And then with these tickets, well, you're going to be enrolled for all the future draws as long as you hold on those tickets. And maybe one day you're going to earn the whole pool of staking interest generated by the locked ICX into the smart contract. And right now, to give you an idea, so the lottery has launched only a few weeks ago, or probably a few months. We've had 450 participants, and so far, almost 18,000 ICX have been won, which is about $25,000 today. And these have been won across 10 prices, and I think there's almost $100,000 locked into the smart contract that are generating interest. So yeah, that's pretty cool. Anybody can participate. Anybody can withdraw their tickets at any time, and everything happens by a smart contract on chain. It's fully transparent. There's no human interaction, and it's more than like a normal lottery. It's more like a saving game because you never lose your initial ICX in a way.
So So to quickly summarize, is you take your traditional lottery where you go, you buy a ticket, you hope for a chance to win a decent amount of money. You most likely never win, and you lose your money, and you're back to square one. Over here, lossless is you buy a ticket that you can basically, this ticket is an ICX. You can redeem your ICX at any time you want, so you're never actually losing your ICX, and at the same time it rebuys you into the weekly draw. So every week, even if you miss out, that same ICX you deposited qualifies for the next round of the lottery. A fair, quick summary.
A great summary. I couldn't have said it better.
That excellent. Okay.
Um, Well, I just need to add there's an unstaking period because yeah, these ICX that you buy into the lottery, they're used to stake. Just they go into the smart contract, and the smart contract stake these ICX into the protocol. That's how the interest are generated, and that's how the prizes are generated. And because of this, there's a small unstaking periods of 8 to 10 days at withdrawal time, because the ICX are staked, and they need to unbond every time somebody withdraws.
So I have a confession here. My journey into DeFi it has first commenced with the first app I ever used in DeFi was the Pull Together app, and I remember I'd listened to something and I thought, my God, this is brilliant. I'll throw 5 die in this and just forget about it. So yeah, I really loved as soon as I realized you'd launched this product on Icon, I was like, what a great fit. This is perfect. It kicked off a tutorial, whatever, I could get it out there. I've got myself and friends and family got some ICX in there, just sitting there hoping to win the weekly prize. So yeah, fantastic. Really love the product, and I've been quite vocal in some of the chats, and I think you've answered some of my questions, and this is where I'm leading to. So, you've got the initial product out the door, and I believe there's a version 2 in the works, something brewing.
Yeah, there's a version 2 in the works. Because yeah, we already got a lot of feedback from the community on which kind of next features and ideas that we could develop. And yeah, right now we're planning to release that version 2 probably around the beginning of April. It's going to include features such as consolation prizes. Right now, we have one draw per week, which happens on Sunday. And at each draw, there's only one winner. And one feedback we got was that, it would be nice if there were a few more winners at each draw, and probably if instead of having only one big prize, we could have still one very large prize, but probably a few small ones, so that more participants can have a chance to win. And that's something that we're implementing. So there'll most likely be one large prize and 2 consolation prizes at each draw that we will probably at the beginning sponsor ourselves. And then, because we want this to be a community project, and we want to go beyond, accepting only ICX token into the smart contracts. Community projects, they're going to be able to kind of top up, the total reward amount by adding, any other token running on the Icon blockchain that they feel like. This can be IRC2 tokens, such as TAP from IconBet, or it can be IRC3 NFTs, such as Nebula Planet. So,
Wow.
at each draw now, not only you will be winning, not only the winner will be winning Icon tokens, but in the future, depending on who in the community wants to sponsor the prize, there'll also be the opportunity to win. Why not a Nebula planet, or tap tokens, or any other community tokens.
That is so, with the balanced protocol launching, potentially supporting um, a stable coin as well as part of the lottery is on the cards. Sounds like it.
Yeah, that could be interesting as well. So right now we built this staking lottery, which is like the first no loss staking lottery, and well, of course, we could have bound tokens sponsoring the lottery, but other things we have in mind, and that's not for the V2, that's for the future. But we are already in touch with Balanced, and we've been exploring the possibility of why not creating other pools, probably based on lending interest, and probably based on stable coins running on Icon, to kind of offer different lotteries for different user profiles.
There's a few things that's amazing. And then what about future versions? What are you thinking? How will this evolve in your mind?
Well, we really want to make it like a decentralized project. So that's for like clearly in the future. Right now, we're still focused on shipping the V2. But these lotteries, these blockchain lotteries, they have the potential to be like global borderless projects that anybody can build on. And I'm thinking, we can just use the blockchain as a backend, but then offer that through the Icon blockchain and through the smart contracts for the lottery, offer the possibility for anyone to actually create its own lottery, or create its own pool, create a syndicate, invite its friend in it, and why not, in the future you would have other lotteries using our smart contracts, and being on a totally different stable coin for a totally different market, and these kind of things. And of course, well, we envision to audit the project before, like in the future, we will need to run audits on the project, do some thorough audits, just to ensure the security once it gets to a lot of traction.
And I know there'd been kind of some back and forth in terms of kind of what users were looking at from the user interface, user experience. Did you guys have anything envisioned as far as changing that up at all?
Well, we got some feedback in different areas. So people like the fun aspect of the app, and especially like the GIFs. Like each lottery has a special branding and a GIF attached to it. And we also got a few feedback, that people would like something more institutional looking. But yeah, so far we're gonna stick with the current UI. And one thing that we're working on is to offer better data display and analytics. So we're gonna build a board where people can see how many tickets have been sold, what's the total number of ICX locked in the smart contract, and of course, what are your actual chances of winning? Because right now, all these things, they can be easily seen actually by reading the contract using the Icon Blockchain Explorer, but this information, they don't yet appear on the website, and that's something we're asked on a weekly basis actually.
So
Got it.
can I just take a moment? I feel we've had a lot of information here. And just to really summarize, so we've got a lossless lottery platform. In the future, we have got the platform that will enable sponsorships that will support NFTs, the various IRC token standards. We've got better analytics and data in the works. We've got part of this these upgrades, monthly giveaways that can form part of it, and then a big preview of things to come is the future versions where the goal is, to be able to offer people to create their own kind of games on the platform. Which Edward you just mentioned before. So wow, I felt in the last 20 minutes we've talked about a lot, but I wanted to really give a summary that it's an exciting time in this space and for your platform as well. So that's brilliant.
Yeah, thanks. And there's something we didn't mention actually is that today, the community can already sponsor the lottery. So that we haven't got right now. It's mostly Stakin has been sponsoring, every draw. So at every draw, there's the staking interest that is distributed to the winner, and there is a fixed sponsorship amount provided by Stakin. And any people in the community right now, any P-Rep, any community project can actually, choose to replace us for one draw and decide to sponsor the lottery by sending ICX into the smart contract, and we can even fine tune that lottery, and we can name it based on the project, and kind of do this cross marketing together. Yes, so that's something we've already implemented, but so far it's been mostly us, sponsoring it.
In terms of our practical kind of example, so let's say Project Nebula, they want to they're releasing their game at whatever date that is, and they want to do a lot of promotion around it. Theoretically, if this feature is available, they could sponsor their own contest where the grand prize winner was one of the, say one of the legendary planets or something like that. The planets obviously being a non-fungible token in their context. They could sponsor their own as a way to, get a bit more publicity for themselves, and also get people excited to buy the planet. And then people could, instead of buying tickets for just the kind of the standard lottery, they could instead buy it for the Project Nebula lottery, and if obviously they won, then they would get the planet. Is that how it works?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, right now it only works with ICX because we haven't yet incorporated the NFTs. But yeah, in the future, it's going to work with NFTs, and anybody would be able to sponsor with an NFT such as Nebula, and Nebula themselves, they can bring their best planet and say, okay. And they can contact us, and we can call it the Nebula Draw, and provide like a planet illustration together. And we can do this cross-marketing campaign. And at the end, the winner would win both the staking interest of the week and a Nebula planet.
I want to set a bit of context. So, if for people who are probably new to blockchain or DeFi, as we know, a lot of these products initially have been built on Ethereum and exist, and Pull Together being one of them. And something that's happened on the Ethereum chain that has been very popular is these protocols that have been around for almost 2 years and have an existing user base have now started launching governance tokens, or a particular token related to the protocol. And Uniswap was the first to do this, where they retro dropped all the users in the past who even just used the AMM, or in this case the Pull Together platform just did that, where anyone who had potentially used the Lossless Lottery had money sitting in there. They've released a governance token, and there's particular use cases for the token, and they've given it to all the old users of the platform as a thank you for using it. So I guess my question, and a cheeky one here, Edward, is there any plans around a governance token for the Staken Lossless Lottery, or for your platform in general?
So right now we don't have specific plans to drop a token. So we're working on this V2, and we're working on the staking finance DeFi dApp, and in the future, like any other blockchain startup, working on multiple dApps and having a community. We have discussions internally about launching our token, and of course if when we launch, like rewarding early users is definitely something we're discussing about. But right now we don't have any specific plans.
Okay, no, look, good to know. It's being spoken about, and yeah. So, we are very early here, and if anyone listening to this podcast, you should jump in, and the best way to learn about this stuff is actually trying the product. So, this is an extremely easy and simple product to try. I even have a tutorial out on it, and I think iconographer, you've got some articles about it. You usually cover everything, so I
Yeah,
just
I think there's someone floating around there somewhere.
excellent, excellent.
And it's pretty nice, like comparing to trying a DApp on Ethereum, which probably would cost you $100 just to try today in gas. On Icon right now, we don't have any congestion issue, and yeah, I mean you can just buy a ticket with one ICX. Probably it will you will win a prize one day, but in the worst case, you can withdraw whenever you want as well. It's a good way to hodl too, and not sell your ICX when there's a small dip.
And so, we kind of alluded to it a couple times here, but I know you guys are working on something called Staken Finance. So, I want to take an opportunity to let you kind of explain what that is and how it would work.
Sure. So yes, staking finance is a yield farming dApp. Uh, so we want to make it so that it is going to support the various chain that we also support as a validator, and you'll be able to pool your tokens, like ICX or Atom, into the dApp and earn extra STK and token. But yes, it's still in the works. We haven't launched it yet, and there are lots of challenges around, the bridging and making it cross-chain. But yeah, that's what's going to be in the first iterations, and the idea, the future is kind of offer a platform with many kind of staking derivatives around the chains on which we operate.
So, with the way it works is, so say you build this platform, I can deposit my ICX because I don't have to think about it or worry about it. I just want to be able to get the yield. And meanwhile, this platform kind of either, I guess, mostly behind the scenes, it'll utilize various opportunities for yield farming, presumably on the Icon blockchain. I don't know if it would have cross chain capabilities, but it would essentially it would serve as a central hub for people to get a better return on their ICX without have to necessarily interact with the other platforms. Is that kind of how it works?
Yeah, that would be kind of how it works. I mean, yeah, in terms of front end, it would be just like your usual lead farming, with the various opportunities of coins that you can deposit, and the yields showing up, and then you can deposit or withdraw or harvest, and yeah, maximize your API.
And
Cool.
you mentioned this Staken token. Would this be independent from some of the conversations about the lossless lottery, or would it all token, or would it all be
So
integrated?
no, so the token would, I mean, if we launch a token, there'll only be one,
Mm.
to make things clear. And there it will most likely be a fair launch on the staking finance platform, and there'll be an allocation reserved for uh, a bunch of other opportunities, such as rewarding users, and that will be probably given later in the future or progressively. We haven't yet thoroughly thought about these details, but we are keeping an allocation for well, these kind of opportunities.
Great.
Do you know? It might still be early, but do you have a kind of a vague timeline in mind as far as when that platform might be launching?
No, it's still early, but right now we're pretty much focused on the V2 primarily of the lottery. So that's going to be launched in April, and yeah, I guess Staking Finance will probably launch a bit after that time.
Very cool.
Okay, well, Edward, is there anything else you wanted to talk about, cover off, shed some light on? I think we've gotten through everything we want, and there was quite a lot of content there, which is fantastic. Any final words?
No, not much final words. Thanks for having me here. Nice speaking with you. And actually, I'd love to have an eye on Icon Lottery one day. So if you have a gift to provide me, I think we should call one of our next lotteries with your name.
That
Not a
would
bad idea.
that is a great idea. We're on board.
And we'll be sure to include links to the Staken website as well as the Staken Lottery, specifically, just so if folks haven't found them before or stumbled upon them, they have a chance to do that. There's been a lot of new, either new entrants or re-entrants into the Icon community over the last few weeks for obvious reasons, and so I think a lot of them are just in the process of getting caught up on everything that's going on. And as you kind of mentioned too, you guys technically launched a few weeks back, but I think being able to provide people with direction toward how to find it and get involved, I think a lot of people will find it fun and interesting.
Cool. Thanks a lot.
Thanks again, Edward, for taking the time and shedding so much light and giving us so much information of all the things that are coming to your platform. Really appreciate it.
Thank you. Thank you.
Take care.
Have a good one.
That was a great interview with Edward. We got a lot of information there, and you can see that it's not they're not really focused just on the now. They're focused on the now and building out so far ahead, and a bunch of variations to their platform. So while it's focused on the lossless lottery, and there's so much coming there, their platform enables cross-chain staking. They've got this excellent DeFi product that we got a bit of a sneak peek at. What are your thoughts, Icongrapher?
Yeah, I certainly am excited to hear more about that DeFi project. As of now, that's kind of their sole their sole focus has been the stakeless lottery. But obviously, as they put in this version 2 and further build it out, it sounds like it's becoming more of just kind of an open platform as a whole, where as they build on more features and add more features, they potentially won't even really have to be involved at all. It can be totally up to individuals or P reps or whatever to kind of utilize the platform as they see fit. But even now, with the opportunity for sponsorships and things like that, I think it's an underutilized opportunity. I would think among P reps for a chance at some extra kind of outside the box promotion by sponsoring an event, whether that could just be P reps. It could also be other platforms or projects that are about to launch and want to get a little bit more extra publicity or things like that. We had mentioned, say, hypothetically, a Project Nebula tossing a planet in there and putting it up for raffle or something like that. So it's just another niche in the market as far as Icon's concerned that's being filled, and it's kind of a unique way to kind of market a different thing, and obviously provides the community with a chance to win a little bit of ICX as well. And so I'm certainly excited to watch how that next version plays out. But I'm interested to see how they're thinking about the product in the future and the platform and how it evolves. And again, obviously excited to see more details on their DeFi platform as well. Just because anytime you can make it easier as possible for crypto holders, but in this case, ICX holders to utilize DeFi, obviously the better as well. So that's certainly a plus.
I agree, and just building on that example, the last podcast we had Nblaze from Future ICX, and that this is something Edward mentioned after we finished the podcast where. And this is what we're trying to bring to light is P reps can get in there and have their brand across sponsoring the next week's lottery, because they do have at the moment 450 users and building, so that's all new eyeballs on a new product that is on the Icon ecosystem. So it's a fantastic opportunity for the community to kind of help each other and get existing users across new products. So it's a real opportunity, and it's for everyone, not just if you're building a D app from a marketing perspective, from anything really. So Edward was quite vocal, keen to see that happen. Reach out to him. He just wants to work together, very much community orientated. So it was a great interview and so much content there. Look, as always, a lot of everything we talk about, they are our views. This is not financial advice. Crypto is volatile. It is new, and in some other channels known as the Wild West. So, and that is the case. So, we just hope to shed light on everything that is coming and some of the news and what various interpretations it could mean of the news and potential for it to impact the Icon ecosystem. Once again, we appreciate everyone tuning in, and if you do like and enjoying what we're putting out, hit the subscribe button and give us those 5 stars so we can get noticed. Any closing comments, Iconographer?
Nope. Just looking forward to what I assume is just going to be another wild week of price action. So I guess we'll be buckling up. But for all I know, maybe it'll be calm again. So we'll just have to see how it plays out.
Yes, strap in. Let's hope for the best.
Yes.
Excellent. Thanks, everyone. Chat soon.
Have a good week.